He's always angry. Every little thing, just so our relationship has been hard. So yeah, it's taken a toll on all of us.
It was a proud moment for mechanic Jimmy, buying a house for his parents with 25 years of his hard-earned savings.
Could sort of call home in my mum and dad's later years and our later years and still be close to the kids.
Dealing with so much money, he did everything right, even going into the bank to make the transfer. Yet somehow it still went so wrong, and he lost nearly $500,000 to scammers.
Imagine saving every spare dollar for 25 years, walking into your bank to finally buy your parents their dream home, handing over nearly $500,000 with a bank teller right in front of you. And then discovering days later that every single cent has vanished into a scammer's account. And here is the part that will keep you up at night. You did absolutely nothing wrong. This is the devastating true story of Jimmy, an Australian mechanic whose life savings disappeared in a single transaction. And if you think this could never happen to you, I need you to stay with me because the way this scam unfolded will fundamentally change how you handle money.
I had a bum bag, like literally a bum bag, and with a zipper in it, and it was like the bag of antibiotics, and the antibiotics were feeding directly into my bloodstream.
So if you find value in stories that protect families from financial predators, take 1 second right now to subscribe and turn on notifications, because these are the investigations that could save you everything. Jimmy spent most of his adult life underneath cars, working as a mechanic for a quarter century. The kind of work that leaves grease under your fingernails and aches in your back. And while the pay was steady, it was never extravagant. So Jimmy did what responsible people do. He saved carefully, setting aside a portion of every single paycheck with one clear goal in mind: buying a home where his aging parents could live comfortably in their later years while staying close to family. His wife, Leanne, described the emotional weight of what happened, saying, "It has taken a toll on all of us. He is always angry now. Every little thing sets him off. And our relationship has been hard." And that single quote tells you everything about how this story ends. But first, you need to understand how it began. What makes this case so important is that it exposes a terrifying truth about modern financial crime. Scammers increasingly target not the elderly or the naive, but the people around them, the professionals they trust, the systems they rely on. And when those systems fail, the blame somehow shifts to ordinary people who believed they were doing everything right. By the time Jimmy reached middle age, his goal felt achievable. He and Leanne found a suitable property near Lake Illawarra, south of Sydney. A modest home intended as a long-term family residence, not an investment property, with an agreed purchase price of around $1.1 million. And nearly all of Jimmy's life savings would go into this single transaction. They engaged a conveyancer to handle the settlement.
My mum at the start of it as well, for stage 4 brain tumour, which was very hard.
Which was completely standard practice. Nothing about the process appeared unusual. But what Jimmy and Leanne did not know was that somewhere in the shadows, cybercriminals had already begun watching. During this same period, both Jimmy and Leanne were under enormous personal strain. Jimmy was undergoing serious medical treatment, requiring intravenous antibiotics. He described carrying around a literal bum bag with a zipper containing the antibiotic bag that fed directly into his bloodstream while he moved between hospital visits and daily life.
It's known that solicitors and conveyancers, or people that deal with lots of money, are the ones that get compromised, not some little Hotmail account or an Outlook account. So my argument is, if your system was compromised and they've stolen my information and sent me an email, How's that my fault?
Meanwhile, Leanne had just lost her mother to a stage 4 brain tumor. She said losing her mom at the start of all this was incredibly hard. So their attention was understandably divided, but their intentions remained cautious. They wanted everything done properly, especially because of the enormous amount of money involved. And here is where Jimmy made the decision that he believed would protect him. Instead of transferring the money himself online, he and Leanne went in person to their local Commonwealth Bank branch. In his mind, involving trained bank staff meant professional oversight and safeguards. He genuinely believed this was the most responsible option available. At the branch, the process felt routine. The teller asked who the payment was being made to, and Jimmy referred to an email he had received containing settlement payment instructions. The email appeared to come from their conveyancer. It included account details. It looked completely consistent with previous correspondence. There was nothing visually alarming about it, so trusting that the information had been prepared and verified by professionals, Jimmy asked the teller to follow the instructions. The transfer was processed, paperwork was signed, the transaction was completed in person, and Jimmy and Leanne left the branch believing their settlement funds had been safely sent. There was no warning, no delay, no red flag raised by anyone. Then came Melbourne Cup Day in 2023, when Jimmy received a phone call from the conveyancer telling him the settlement funds had been paid into the wrong account. At first, the information did not fully register. Jimmy and Leanne went to the conveyancer's office seeking answers and were asked to wait. Minutes passed, with no clear explanation, and the longer they sat, the more the horrifying reality settled in. The funds were not simply delayed. Nearly $450,000 was gone. Investigations revealed the account the money had been sent to was a personal account, not a business trust account, and once deposited, the funds were withdrawn rapidly, with portions taken out in cash within just 2 days. By the time anyone attempted to recall the money, it had moved beyond reach. The account holder was later identified by authorities as someone named Rebecca Greedy. And while Jimmy managed to find dark humor in the irony of that name, the legal proceedings initiated in Victoria did not result in recovery. Jimmy struggled to reconcile what had happened. He had not rushed, he had not acted alone, he had not bypassed any systems, he had walked into a bank and relied on trained staff, yet his life savings vanished in a single transfer. The conveyancing firm stated its email systems had not been hacked, and Jimmy confirmed his own email was not compromised. Based on this, he believed the interception occurred within the conveyancer's communication chain. He argued that scammers specifically target professionals who handle large sums rather than individual Hotmail accounts, and his question cuts to the heart of this case. If their system was compromised and criminals stole his information to send a fraudulent email, how is that his fault? The firm pointed to a disclaimer in their email signature advising clients to verify payment details before transferring funds, because Jimmy did not independently confirm the account the firm said its insurance would not cover the loss. The conveyancer involved later left the company, and attempts to contact her were unsuccessful as her online accounts had been deleted. Jimmy also questioned the bank's role, believing staff should have recognized the transfer was going to a personal account rather than a business trust account during a property settlement worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Commonwealth Bank stated they attempted to recall the funds 6 days later, but records showed the money had been withdrawn within 2 days. The Australian Financial Complaints Authority acknowledged that bank staff may not have appeared professional, but ruled in favor of the bank, citing a form signed by Jimmy and Leanne stating the transaction details were correct. Jimmy argued that his medical condition and Leanne's recent bereavement affected their mental state when signing that form. But the ruling stood because authorities determined banks are not required to assess whether a transaction is in a customer's best interest, only to process the instructions provided. The financial impact on Jimmy was devastating, but the personal consequences cut even deeper. The house they purchased became a source of distress rather than security. Jimmy said he cannot bring himself to enjoy living there because every day inside reminds him of what was lost. Anger surfaces easily, stress became part of daily life. And what was meant to be a place of stability turned into a symbol of failure and vulnerability. 25 years of work vanished, and the dream of providing for his parents became a nightmare that reshaped his entire family. If you found value in this investigation, please hit subscribe right now, because every week we break down scams like this one to protect you and the people you care about. Share this video with someone buying property or making large transfers, because this knowledge could be the difference between security and devastation. Jimmy does not describe himself as careless or naive. He describes himself as someone who trusted established systems to function as intended. And he learned the hardest lesson of all. Responsibility shifts quickly away from institutions and onto individuals, even when those individuals have done everything they believed was right. His case remains unresolved and raises uncomfortable questions about where customer responsibility ends and institutional accountability begins. But the lesson is permanent. And it is this: in an age of sophisticated cybercrime, trust must be verified, procedures must be questioned, and no transaction, no matter how routine it appears, should ever be completed without independent confirmation. Protect your family, verify everything, and remember that the scammers are counting on your trust. This has been another investigation. Stay safe, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one.